The plane hadn't even pushed back when a woman stepped into the aisle and pointed straight at my window. "My son needs that seat," she said, loud enough to drown out the engines. "Move. Now." I stayed, buckled in, tray table up, hands still. Christmas Eve had the cabin wound tight already. Overstuffed, bins, coats, jammed under seats, that brittle holiday impatience. But her voice snapped it cleaner. Her son stood just behind her, grown silent, letting her fight for him. A flight attendant froze beside us, eyes flicking from my boarding pass to the woman's face. The mother leaned in, lowering her voice like that made it reasonable. "He gets anxious," she said. "Windows calm him. Be a decent man." Across the aisle, people practiced invisibility. Someone stared at the seatback like it might save them. I could feel the delay building, the unspoken threat of missing connections hanging over everyone. "I'm in my assigned seat," I said. "Even. Final." She laughed. "Sharp. Certain. We'll see." The attendant lifted a handset, whispering toward the front. A gate agent's name floated back. Then another phrase, quiet, clipped, that made her straighten. "Sir," she said, carefully, "please remain seated." The woman smirked. "Good," she said. "Call whoever you want." Footsteps moved from the cockpit toward us, slow and deliberate. The cabin held its breath. She stood there smiling, convinced this would end her way, because she had no idea who I was. Her name was Melissa Whitmore, and she didn't wait to be invited into the situation, she took it over. She slid her carry-on sideways into the aisle, forcing a flight attendant to stop short, then pointed straight at my window. "We're sitting here," she said, already moving my way. "My son needs that seat. Make it happen." Her son, late 20s, fully grown, stood half a step behind her eyes, down, hands in his pockets. He didn't argue. He didn't explain. He let his mother speak for him the way she clearly always did. Melissa leaned in close enough that I could smell her perfume. "It's Christmas Eve," she said, voice syrupy but sharp underneath. "Be a good person. Switch seats." It wasn't a request. It was an expectation delivered with the casual authority of someone used to getting what she wanted. When the flight attendant tried to respond, Melissa waved her off without even turning her head. "I fly all the time," she said. "I know how airlines really work." She planted herself in the aisle like a checkpoint, daring anyone to contradict her. The cabin went quiet in that way that means people are listening but pretending not to. A man across the aisle stared hard at his phone. Someone 2 rows back sighed and stopped talking. I stayed seated. That was when Melissa's expression changed, not anger, yet just irritation. "You're being difficult," she said softly. "People who cooperate don't have problems." In that moment, it was clear this wasn't about the window seat. It was about control, and she fully expected me to give it to her. Melissa Whitmore didn't retreat when I stayed seated. She adjusted her stance, squaring herself in the aisle, like a customs officer who'd decided I was suspicious. Her voice dropped slower, now sharpened for pressure. "You're holding up the plane," she said, glancing around as if recruiting witnesses. "Everyone here wants to get home. Don't be that guy." I didn't answer. I watched the flight attendant's eyes flick between us, watched the math happen in her face, delay versus compliance, policy versus peace. Melissa saw it too. She always did. She leaned toward the attendant, not me. "We can solve this quietly," she said. "Or I can escalate." Her son shifted behind her, embarrassed maybe. Or resigned. I couldn't tell. He stared at the carpet like it was safer than meeting anyone's eyes. A man across the aisle cleared his throat, and then stopped the sound dying in his chest. A woman 2 rows up turned halfway, then turned back, suddenly fascinated by the safety card. The cabin was doing what cabins do when someone decides to be a problem, shrinking away and hoping the problem picks someone else. Melissa tapped the seat back again. 1, 2. "Last chance," she said, smiling without warmth. "I'm trying to be nice." "I'm in my assigned seat," I said. Same tone, same words. I wasn't negotiating. Her smile thinned. "Then you're choosing to make this difficult." She waved the attendant closer and spoke louder, making sure everyone could hear. "My son has anxiety. He needs a window." "Are you really going to deny a medical need on Christmas Eve?" That did it. The word medical landed heavy. The attendant straightened shoulders tight and asked for boarding passes again. Melissa handed hers over with a flourish like evidence she knew would convict me. I passed mine across calmly. While the attendant checked, Melissa kept talking. She always kept talking. "This airline prides itself on compassion," she said. "I've flown this route dozens of times. They know me. I don't complain unless I have to." The lie slid out smoothly, practiced. I could hear it, the cadence of someone who'd learned that confidence could replace truth, if delivered loudly enough. The attendant nodded, half to herself, half to the situation, and said she needed to check something with the front. She stepped away, and Melissa exhaled like a general who'd already won. "You should have just moved," she said to me almost kindly. "This won't go your way." I looked past her out the window at the blinking lights along the wing. We were still at the gate, still early enough for this to end cleanly or turn into something else. The front of the cabin stirred. A gate agent appeared, tablet tucked under her arm, expression already guarded. That was new. Gate agents didn't come on board for minor seat swaps. Melissa clocked it instantly and pivoted, energy rising. "Finally," she said, "someone with authority." The agent asked for a brief explanation. Melissa delivered it fast and theatrical: medical need, uncooperative passenger, holiday stress, airline responsibility. She gestured at me without looking like I was an object obstructing her path. The agent listened, then checked the tablet. Her brow furrowed, not dramatically, but enough. She scrolled, stopped, scrolled again. "Ma'am," she said carefully, "I'm not seeing a medical accommodation attached to this booking." Melissa scoffed. "Because it was handled earlier, internally." The agent's eyes flicked up, then back down. "Handled by whom?" Melissa hesitated just a beat too long. "By customer relations." The agent nodded slowly, not convinced. She tapped the screen again, then glanced at my boarding pass. Her posture shifted. Subtle, alert. She lowered her voice. "Sir, would you mind staying seated for a moment? I wasn't planning on moving," I said. Melissa bristled. "This is unbelievable," she snapped. "We're delaying an entire plane because he's being stubborn." The agent didn't respond to that. She touched her earpiece and spoke quietly, turning her body away from Melissa. I caught fragments: seat integrity, flagged booking, verify partner list. The words slid together, but one of them landed clearly. Partner. Melissa caught it too. Her head snapped up. "What was that? Nothing you need to worry about," the agent said, still listening. Now Melissa's confidence wavered just a hair. She recovered fast. "Look," she said loud again, "I don't care who he knows. My son needs that seat. Do the right thing." The agent finished the call and looked at me, not apologetic, not deferential, professional. "Sir," she said, "there's no error on your seat assignment. I'm going to involve the cabin manager to resolve conduct concerns." Conduct, not seating. Melissa laughed, sharp and brittle. "Conduct? Are you kidding me? He's the one refusing to help a family?" The agent didn't argue. She signaled toward the front. The cabin manager started down the aisle. That was the moment the tone changed. Not loud, serious. Melissa folded her arms, chin high, like she was ready for a fight she assumed she'd win. Around us, people leaned in despite themselves. Phones stayed down, but attention was absolute. I stayed seated, heart steady, hands still. Because now the system was involved. And once the system starts asking the right questions, noise stops working. The cabin manager stopped beside our row posture, neutral eyes alert. She listened without interrupting, as the gate agent summarized: seat dispute, alleged medical need, no documentation, escalating conduct. Melissa tried to jump in twice. The manager held up a finger without looking at her. "Ma'am," the manager said, finally turning, "I need you to step out of the aisle." Melissa didn't move. "I'm not going anywhere until this is fixed." The manager's gaze slid to me, then back to the tablet. "Sir, your seat assignment is correct. You are not required to move." Melissa's laugh came out wrong. "So, that's it. He just says no, and that's the end." "No," the manager said. "Your behavior is now part of the issue." That landed. Not loudly, cleanly. The manager asked the gate agent for the timeline. The agent pulled it up, booking time, seat selection, a last-minute request, logged minutes before boarding, flagged as customer preference, not medical, no doctor's note, no accommodation code. Just a request, then another, then a complaint marker added when the first didn't go through. Melissa bristled. "So, what I asked? That's not a crime." "It's not," the manager said, "but presenting it as a medical need is a problem." Her son shifted. For the first time, he spoke. "Mom, it's fine. We don't," Melissa snapped without looking at him. The manager noticed. So did everyone else. She tapped her earpiece. "Ops confirm. Does this passenger have any approved medical accommodations on file?" A pause. The cabin waited. "No," came the reply. "None." Melissa's confidence dipped just a fraction, but then she rallied. "This is ridiculous. You're embarrassing us in front of the whole plane." The manager nodded once. "That's why we're keeping this factual." She turned the tablet slightly, not toward Melissa, but toward me. I saw my name highlighted with a small note beneath it. Nothing dramatic. Just a designation. Internal. Quiet. The manager didn't say it out loud. She didn't have to. "Sir," she said, "thank you for your patience." Melissa saw the exchange and felt it. "What is that?" she demanded. "Why does he get thanked?" The manager met her eyes. "Because he's complying." The captain appeared at the front of the cabin, not rushing, not dramatic, just present. The aisle seemed to narrow around him. "What's the status?" he asked. The manager answered in short, precise sentences. No emotion, no accusations, just facts, no medical documentation, repeated attempts to coerce a seat change, refusal to clear the aisle, escalating language. The captain nodded. Then he looked at Melissa. "Ma'am, I need you to step back to your seat while we resolve this." "I will not," she said. "You're protecting him." The captain waited a beat. "I'm protecting the flight." He glanced at the manager. "Door status. Still open," she said. Pushback paused. The captain exhaled slowly. "All right." He addressed the cabin, not loudly, but clearly. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. We're resolving a conduct issue before departure. Please remain seated." That did something. The air changed. This wasn't a petty argument anymore. This was official. Melissa felt it slipping and lunged for control. "This is discrimination," she said, voice rising. "You're choosing him over a family, over a medical need." The captain turned to the manager. "Any verified medical need?" "No, sir." The captain nodded again. "Then stop using that word." Silence. Melissa's face flushed. "You can't talk to me like that." "I can," the captain said. "And I am." He looked at the gate agent. "Bring security to the door. Stand by only." Melissa's eyes widened. "Security? For what?" "For refusal to follow crew instructions," he said, "and for obstructing the aisle." Her son finally stepped forward. "We'll go back," he said, quietly. "Mom, please." She shook him off. "No. If we give in, he wins." The captain's gaze sharpened. "This isn't a contest." The manager's earpiece crackled. She listened, then nodded. "Ops confirms," she said. "Passenger is listed as a strategic partner on this route." Melissa froze. "What?" The manager didn't elaborate. She didn't need to. Melissa turned to me, searching my face for something, arrogance, smugness, a tell. I gave her nothing. Security appeared at the door. 2 officers. Calm, neutral, final. The captain addressed Melissa once more. "Ma'am, this is your last instruction. Return to your seat immediately." Her voice dropped. "So that's it," she said. "He just gets whatever he wants." "No," the captain said. "He gets what he was assigned. You're the one who tried to take it." She laughed thin, panicked. "You're making a mistake." "Perhaps," he said, "but it's mine to make." Security stepped forward, not touching, just present. Melissa looked around the cabin. No allies, no nods, no sympathetic faces, just people who wanted to go home. Her son lowered his head. "Fine," she said, "but this isn't over." The captain nodded once. "It is for this flight." As security guided her toward the front, whispers followed. Not loud, not cruel, just inevitable. The door stayed open, the engines stayed quiet. And I knew what was coming next because the system had already chosen a path. Once the door closes, someone isn't flying. The captain didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He stood at the front of the cabin, one hand braced on a seat back, eyes steady as the aisle emptied of excuses. "Ma'am," he said, "this is the last time I'll ask. Return to your seat." Melissa Whitmore squared her shoulders like she was stepping onto a stage. "You're siding with him," she said, pointing past the manager toward me. "That man has no right to that seat. My son needs it. You're choosing convenience over compassion." A ripple moved through the cabin, not agreement, not outrage. Anticipation, the kind that comes right before something irreversible. The captain nodded once. "I'm choosing policy," she scoffed. "Policy bends. Everyone knows that." He looked to the cabin manager. "Status verified," she said. "No medical accommodation. Repeated coercion attempts. Aisle obstruction." Melissa's laugh cracked. "So now you're reading from a script?" "No," the captain said. "I'm finishing one." He turned slightly, angling his body so the whole cabin could hear him without it sounding like an announcement. "For the record, you were instructed multiple times to clear the aisle and comply with your assigned seat. You refused." Melissa opened her mouth to interrupt. He didn't let her. Further, he continued, "You misrepresented a medical need to pressure crew. That's a serious violation." Her eyes darted crew passengers the open door where security waited. "You're humiliating us," she said, "on Christmas Eve." "You did that yourself," the captain replied. The words landed clean and heavy. No insult, no heat, just consequence. The cabin manager stepped forward with the tablet, turning it so Melissa could see, but not touching her. "This is the log," she said. "Seat change requests at 6:11 p.m., 6:13, and 6:16. All flagged as preference. At 6:18, the complaint marker was added. At 6:19, you verbally asserted a medical need on board." Melissa shook her head, fast and desperate. That's not how it happened. It is, the manager said. And it's recorded. The gate agent added quietly. We checked customer history. Similar complaints on 2 prior flights. Melissa spun toward me. You think you're special, she hissed. You think knowing people makes you untouchable. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The captain did it for me. This has nothing to do with favoritism, he said. It has to do with conduct. The manager touched her earpiece, listened, nodded. Operations confirms, she said. Passenger in 14A is listed as a strategic partner on this route. That designation doesn't grant privileges, but it does require we handle disputes by policy, not pressure. Melissa's face drained of color. Partner, she whispered. Then louder, that's not fair. The captain met her gaze. Fairness is following the same rules everyone else does. Around us, phones came out no longer hidden, no longer polite. The cabin had decided where it stood. The captain turned toward the open door. Security, he said calmly, please assist. The officers stepped forward. Still no hands, still no rush. Just the weight of inevitability. You can't throw me off, Melissa said, voice breaking. You can't. I can, the captain replied. And I am. Her son spoke finally, barely audible. Mom, please. She looked at him like she'd forgotten he was there. Then she laughed, a brittle sound that collapsed into breath. This isn't over, she said, pointing at me as the officers closed in. You'll regret this. I met her eyes for the first time since it started. Calm, unmoved. For me, I said quietly, it already is. Security guided her toward the door. She twisted once, searching for allies. Found none. The door swallowed her anger, her certainty, her noise. When it closed, the cabin exhaled. The captain turned back to us. Thank you for your patience, he said. We'll be pushing back shortly. The engines began to rise. And the plane finally was ready to move. The moment the door sealed, the cabin changed temperature. Not physically, emotionally. Shoulders dropped, breaths released. A woman across the aisle let out a quiet thank God she probably didn't realize she'd been holding. Somewhere behind me, someone clapped once, uncertain, then stopped. No applause followed. It didn't need to. Relief was enough. The flight attendants moved with purpose again, not caution. One leaned in and asked if I needed anything. Water, coffee, space. Her voice was softer, now human. I shook my head and thanked her. Across the aisle, a man met my eyes and gave a small nod. Nothing dramatic, just acknowledgement. Another passenger whispered, "Good for you," as if saying it louder might tempt fate. The cabin lights dimmed slightly, shifting into that pre-departure calm. Outside my window, the runway lights blinked in patient lines. I realized my hands were no longer clenched. My jaw had unlocked. The noise Melissa brought with her had been loud, but the silence she left behind was heavier, fuller, safer. For the first time since boarding, I felt like I could sit in my own seat without bracing for impact. The cabin manager returned to our row tablet tucked against her side. She didn't make a show of it. She leaned in just enough that only I could hear. "She'll be flagged," she said. "Misrepresentation of medical need. Refusal to comply with crew instructions. It'll follow her." I nodded. I didn't ask questions. I didn't need details. The captain logged everything, she continued. Video, audio, passenger statements. If she files a complaint, it won't go anywhere. She hesitated, then added, "Thank you for letting us handle it the right way." From the front, the captain's voice came over the intercom. Not dramatic, not apologetic, professional. He thanked everyone for their patience, confirmed the issue was resolved, and reminded the cabin that assigned seating and crew instructions were non-negotiable. No names, no spectacle, just policy spoken once clearly. A flight attendant passed, handing back a jacket that had slipped onto the floor during the chaos. "We're pushing back now," she said, smiling for real this time. The engines deepened. The plane began to move. As we taxied, I opened my laptop, instinctively, habit more than intention. Notifications blinked at the corner of the screen. Ops updates, holiday traffic projections, a message from someone at the airline asking if everything was resolved on board. I closed the laptop without replying. Tonight I didn't want to be the partner, the consultant, the quiet authority in the background. I just wanted to be the man in the window seat, watching the runway lights blur as we finally rolled forward. The wing tilted slightly as we lined up. Snow dusted the edge of the tarmac, glowing gold under the lights. Inside the cabin, conversations restarted, soft, careful, grateful. A child laughed somewhere behind me. A couple leaned together, foreheads touching. When the plane lifted, it was smooth, clean. No drama left behind, just distance. As the city fell away beneath the clouds, I rested my head back and closed my eyes, knowing one thing for certain. Some people think power is loud, but real power doesn't need to raise its voice.